Welcome to the Sean Trey Show. Today I have a really awesome person with me who is a good friend of mine as well. And I'd like to say, can you introduce yourself? Tell people who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm an actress in Denmark, and I'm at Panorama Academy right now. It's my second acting education, and I am in my third year. Where we have to produce some movies, a TV series this year.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Now, this is the creator, right? You're in the creator program. Now,
yeah.
How that we actually met through Panorama because I am friends with Lena, who is the founder of Panorama. Now, and we got to act opposite each other in a class before, which was pretty cool. Yes. I was in the class with you. Now, how did you get started in acting? How did you find this passion for acting?
I think since I was a kid, I always knew I would be an actress.
Really?
And I have always, I have none other educations. I have started something, but in my heart, it was always to be an actress. So I went on a vocal school when I was 18. And after that, it was really serious that I moved to Copenhagen and really tried to get into the acting school. Yeah.
That's awesome. And what do you have any movies from early in your life that were inspirational to you that said, "Oh, this is a movie that is something that I wanted, that made you want to become an actor"?
I think I like everything that Kate Blanchett is in, and
so great.
Walker. I have some huge iconic stars that I'm looking up to.
That's awesome. Now, you moved to Copenhagen, and how did you find it? Like starting out your career, what were some of the things you did? What were some of the roles that got you going?
I applied for the theater schools. We have 3 in Denmark, and those are the most focused on theater. And when I was 18 and 19 and in the beginning of the 20s, I wanted to be on the stage. But then I came into my first film acting education, and I kind of got the love from that media.
Right.
And the passion. And I think my playing is more to camera because I can get very emotional really easy. And my voice gets tiny when I get really emotional. So therefore you can just put a camera up in my face, and it's easier on camera than
it's theater. This is like something I try to explain to people, like the main difference between theater and cinema. And one of the biggest things for the actor is that, like my microphone's right here and I can get nice and quiet, and you can still hear it. But in a theater, if you get quiet like that, the person in the back of the room, I mean, granted, a lot of theaters now will mic up an actor as well. They'll be running mics on them, but still traditionally in theater, it was all about big movements, and the theater actor had to have a voice that could be heard all the way at the back of the theater,
Yeah, I also took voice coaching in Denmark, and that also was for theater. So we actually have our classes in the National Danish Theater. So once I went to the big stage to try to talk the room up. Yeah.
It's how did it feels cool though, right?
Yeah. That's kind of a dream scenario to be on that stage. So
that's awesome.
It was nice. Yeah,
that was really awesome. Yeah, it's like those stages are just so brilliantly beautiful too. But what you do notice is that it is a big room, and to have your voice heard at the back, you have to project. And so with acting for camera, there's more nuances, and like, what is the shot? Is it a close up? Are you, are they putting a camera right in your face? Because it's different. Now, as you started getting going, you applied to these schools. What happened after that?
I applied for 10 years to the theater school, and I went. We have 3 auditions in each year to the schools, and I went to
10 years. For
Yeah.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very. Yeah, that's my passion. So I go.
Never quit, man. I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to the second audition sometimes, but never got in the theater schools. Normally we have 800,000, not 800 or 1,000 or that apply for those schools, and it's 8 in total.
8 people, only 8.
Yeah, on each school we have 3, and now I think it's only 6 because they took it down.
Oh my goodness.
So it's almost impossible.
But, you know, one of the challenges I have with that, right? Like, granted, they're screening people because they want to find quality. But, like, who are they to decide who should be, you know, who are they to decide who should be the people that should be allowed to follow their passion? And this is something that Lena and I had a conversation about. Like, the idea of, like, music, it changed a couple years ago. So the music industry changed before film, because with music, there are now all these companies that will let any musician put out their music, and you can be on Spotify. You can be in the same places as all the famous singers. Like, you're included with them. You know, you're in the same spot. But for film, for a long time, there's been the challenge is how do you get seen? You know, how do you get people seen? Because there's this group of people that are like, and these will be the people that are chosen and not these, you know?
Yeah, the A stars.
Yeah, right? And so what I really like is that there are options for people. And that's what I love about what you guys are doing at Panorama with the creator, you know, because you can wait for someone to put you in a movie, or you can make the movies that you want people to be seeing you in, you know, which is so awesome. So awesome. And I loved your short films. Tell me about your experience making some of your own short films.
It was really fun to make the one A Trip to Finland, because we went to. It's kind of inspired by Reservoir Dogs. So, like, it's 3 bank robbers who had robbed a bank with a group of people, but us 3, we have stolen the money and run out of to find a place nobody know where. And in the short film, we actually just sit in that little house in Finland, and drinking and get high and just waiting to die because they know the bad guys will come and shoot us. So I like the environment in that movie, and I like the character because it's always nice to be the not pretty girl but the kind of quirky. Yes,
it's awesome. It's the quirky girl. Yeah. Now, where did your inspiration for this story come from? Or was this the one? Did you write it as well?
No, I didn't write it. It was Hjalte who also was in the movie. He wrote it.
Awesome.
Yeah, but we were in small groups when we wrote the scripts.
Yeah,
and we kind of gave feedback to their ideas they had, and wrote it, and then came with feedback and maybe some ideas.
That's awesome. Now, as you go about acting in some of these, where do you find your inspiration? How do you get inspired for your acting?
I think I'm good at improvising. So
I like that.
yeah, if it's a character who are not as me in person, I like to get on some costume or and be in the environment that the characters should be in the movie. For example, this self-tape I just told you about, I hate the white walls or black walls and just you have to deliver a self-tape like this. So I went out because the scene was outside in the shelter and fire. So I went out and built a fireplace and went to my outdoor girl clothes and because I get inspired by the environment and the whole thing.
Well, that was the story of what was his name? I can't remember the main actor for the Lord of the Rings. Oh man, I'm blanking on his name. Elijah Wood. So Elijah Wood, for his audition for The Lord of the Rings, went out to the Runyon Canyon out in Los Angeles, and he's running around acting dressed like a hobbit. And Peter Jackson saw it and was like, I love it.
Yeah.
This is the guy, it's so perfect. And so
I think you get people recognize you when you're not one of those with the white walls in the bunch.
And I know that there's a standard that that people need to get to, but at the same time, I think that one of the greatest things that most important things people have to remember is how to set yourself apart from the rest. Whether you're a singer, a musician, a director, a writer, how can you? I think I'm special. I'm Sean. I think I'm very special.
Yeah.
But I have to make you think I'm special. And one of the weirdest things, like when I went to a casting in Los Angeles once, I walked into a room and there were 20 guys in there who looked just like me. Like, it was so weird. It was a room of guys that were all tall, white, thin, had a little bit of facial hair, and they had my general look, and they were wearing kind of the same clothes. And like some of them were way better looking and better actors. And I was like, oh my God. And the guy went in front of me. And so I'm going into my audition, and the guy in front of me was so good. Like, I could see him and he was so good. He was better than me. And then I went in afterwards and they sit me down. The casting director was like, are you ready? And I was like, no, I'm not ready. I have to follow that guy. I'm going to tell you the truth. You guys should just hire him. He's so good. He was so good. And they started laughing and laughing and laughing. And then afterwards they're like, are you ready? And I was like, all right. And I did my audition. And then I was like, and I looked at them and I was like, I told you he was better than me. And they're like, yeah, he was better than you. And I was like, but you know what? They called me back for some work later on. Not for that job, but they remembered me. They were like, thank you for being honest with us. They're like, he probably is the person, but that wasn't the thing for me. But that work turned into other work just because I was myself. I chose to be different. And that was important.
I think also that's also about the self-tape I talked about, that when I said, come and get a whiskey, even it was a whiskey commercial, I think they remember me because I maybe said that, or also because I did another kind of self-tape than other people maybe did. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's a really important thing is like, maybe we can't do it all the time. But even if you do a traditional self-tape with the blue or white background, but you make bold choices, you make choices that are confident, and show who you are. Because like, I look at this like with what I wear when I do my podcast, right? And I try to dress. I was like, someone was like, well, should you wear a suit? Like Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel. And I was like, no, I don't want to wear a suit because I'm not Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel. I'm doing this from my home. It's a podcast. I want to look nice, but I also have to be like, if I was sitting here in a suit and a tie, it's not me. It's too formal. You have to make choices that are authentic to you.
Yeah.
So, which it goes back to, kind of like, I know that you study the Ivana Chubbuck technique, and one of the things that she's all about is be the most authentic you that you can, and still adapt to the role. Now talk to me about some of your training. Like, so you got into school, you applied for 10 years, it didn't happen. Where did you go? How did you move forward from there?
I applied for the Danish Film Acting Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been on a workshop there before, so they kind of know me. So I was at an audition, but it wasn't the first audition because I was focusing on the acting school when they have this first audition. So because I knew them, I applied later, and then I got I get in there. Yeah, but it was kind of a second choice because I knew I had to focus on my self-confidence and self-worth. And that was really my goal for that education because I knew they had a lot of focus on that. But then when I went there, I also find out that, hey, movies is kind of nice.
Right? It's awesome. Now, so were you were still training? Were you doing any acting at that time, or were you just still in the training mode?
I was still on the training mode. The only thing we did was like school projects, and we had a lot of directors in the business out to train us. So we got networking with them. So that was nice.
That's nice. Now keep going. What happened after that? You finished there. Where did you go from there?
Then that was 2 years where I didn't really work, and I did a self-tape, show reel, which I think it was 2 years after the school. And when I got that, I sent it first to casting directors, and yeah, they apply sometimes. But then I just told myself no, I don't care. I sent directly to the directors and to the producers. So I did that, and I actually got really much feedback from the directors, and some of them didn't needed me right now, but recognized me to other projects, and I got a part in a Danish TV series called in English it's When the Dust Has Settled, where I had to play. It was because about what do you call it? Terror.
Terrorism?
Terror attack, where 6 people in this TV series is connected in different ways to people in that restaurant. And I was just guest on this restaurant who was a survivor of this terror.
Oh, really interesting.
So it was a really, really small part, but it.
But was it your first part?
Yeah, my first paid job. Yeah.
That's awesome. How did it feel? How did you feel being in that first paid job?
I feel pretty nice because I had made the self tape for the thing, and when I got it and was on this set, the director said, I saw your self tape. Just do like this because you were really good. And then I did. And then they actually, I have a funny story because
I love funny stories.
2 years after I had done this this shoot, and I think I don't think the TV series was out yet. Then I went to a workshop with some people I didn't know, but also actually Maria was teaching in this workshop, and I didn't know the other students there. And one of them said, I have seen you, and I was like, okay, here or on the school? No, I have seen you in When the Dust Has Settled. And I was like, I had a tiny, tiny little role. I have one line. And she had been one of the extras. And I don't think I have talked to her, but she could remember me from that line. And she could remember the line. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
I was like, what?
Yeah, man, that's cool. I had I did some videos with my wife, who's a singer here. And when I first went out and people started recognizing me, because I was just like, they're like, oh, I know you. And I was just like, it was a weird feeling for me. I was like, hi, how should I act? What should I do? But it's cool, you know? That's really awesome. Now I want to keep going down the rabbit hole of your. So you got this role. Where did you go from there?
That year I got some roles, small roles, but I think it was because of the show reel I did, because I got a lot of feedback on that one, and it wasn't like 1 month after I sent it, but during the year I got some different projects.
That's very cool. Now you decided to study more. Is that when you then applied to Panorama, or did you do that later?
Actually, Panorama, the first year which I'm on, we were the first year of the school.
That's awesome.
And we got a mail invitation. I didn't even know there was that. I know Panorama Agency, but we didn't know that they would make a school. So we got a mail invitation, and I applied, of course.
Awesome.
And then when I got a self-tape for it, and I sent that, and I came to the interview part, and when I would just Google and see what it exactly was for, the education was about, and they haven't put it up yet. It wasn't official. On any, so I was just, okay, I go to this interview and then I meet Lene, so it couldn't be so bad.
Yeah, right. She's an awesome person. She's going to do you right. You know, well, that's awesome. Now, and I know that you guys, you know, they have a really interesting philosophy there with their triangle philosophy, but I want to talk about your training. As you're training, you know, in school, what was the part that you really enjoyed about your training? What did you really love about training as an actor? What part of being an actor is like what that really you love?
I think because I don't have a high self-confidence, so I think to be another person, or step out of like my head and the voice about myself, more to just it. When I improvise, I don't think. I just, my body just do things, and I like to, when I can do the same with lines, because I feel it's easier if it's just only improvising. Yeah.
I understand that. Sometimes when you're, one of the hardest things I found as an actor is taking someone else's words and making them my own.
Yeah.
You know, and once I got the lyrics down, the idea of getting into that, it was something I really liked though sometimes. You know, and I'm not going to lie. My whole life, I was taught to be a good boy. And I love playing the bad guy. I love playing the bad guy because I get to to look at a different side of maybe part of who I am, because all of us have that ability to be good and bad. It's our choices that make us either good or bad person, you know? But I love to be able to be outside myself, because let's be real, in so many of the movies, the bad guy is a more interesting character than the good guy.
Yeah.
You know, and Batman, Joker's way more interesting than Batman.
Yeah.
Way more interesting, and Hollywood acknowledges that. Heath Ledger won an Oscar. Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar. Christian Bale did not win an Oscar for his Batman role. And there was no Batman in Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, but such an interesting character. Now,
I think it's also more fun to do the bad guys.
Right. Now, how do you approach finding your confidence? You talked about that you have a lack of self-confidence. How do you overcome that when you start to act?
I think because I had Maria and Jill, I took.
And I love Jill and Maria.
Yeah, I love Jill. I was really bad talking English, and I had really low self-confidence when I did. It was like, and then I had Jill for 2 years now, and she gave me so much love and confidence, and I wanted to do it good because I know I liked her and I want to be in progress with her. So I really studied a lot, and also with Maria. I took all these extra classes besides school. So I think the combination of Maria's and Jill and me working hard and get some goals out of it gave me
awesome
confidence.
That's great. The thing is to remember is that it's a journey. You know what I mean? It's like, if you start here and you get to here in confidence, that's awesome. Maybe you want to be up here, but you have to pay attention to that progress. And I think that's what I always found when I trained as an actor, is that maybe I wasn't great yet, but every time I did a class, every time I did a scene, I got better. Every time I did a movie, I got better. And I think that as long as you're willing to take the time and to practice, it's beautiful. Now, talking about that, you also talk about Jill. And so you did some training in voice coaching, right? In English?
Yeah.
How was that?
I love her. In the beginning, I told my friends I'm in love with her, but she was this really, really nice person who saw me. I felt,
I like that. She saw you. I like that. Why? What do you mean by that? I think I know what you mean because I know Jill, but what do you mean by that? So people listening can understand.
Yeah, like. If I felt that I wasn't seen or just was one of everyone, like she saw me and she gave me so much feedback, good feedback, like that was perfection. I recorded every one of our sessions, and in the beginning it was just compliment, even I wasn't good yet. She just gave me so much.
I think that there's a couple approaches to helping people improve, and I had a couple of these. I played volleyball, and in university and high school I played volleyball, and there are people that are good right away. I wasn't. I was the kid that was falling down. When I was a little kid, man, I was clumsy. I would trip over my own feet. And I see with my daughter, she's the exact same, moving around like this, just like all over the place and bumping into things. It's just like me. just like me. And when I started playing volleyball, you get your hands like this, the ball comes, boom, and you go this way, it goes that way. And it was hard for me. It was really hard for me. And I got better by practice. But, I had a couple different types of coaches. And I'm not going to lie, the coaches that I did the best with were the ones who were like, good job, go again. You can do it. I believe in you. There were some coaches that are like, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? That didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me, because for me, I'm the type where I want to hear, you know what? You're not there yet, but that was a good try. Go again.
Yeah.
And I've seen different types of coaches in acting as well. Some of them can be like, that was horrible. Oh, God. Yeah. And I think that, for you have to find people that work for you. And I think that's the most important thing. And for me, Jill is such a great teacher and such a great human being. She inspires confidence. And one of the things that I had someone say to me once is, you have to find people that are willing to take a chance on you. And like you said earlier on when you were telling your story about the casting, they saw it and they said, you know what? Let's take a chance. And you said the same thing with Lena when they saw your audition for Panorama. They took a chance on you. We need more people that will be willing to take a chance on us, Yeah. I think that's important. Now, let's imagine that you can go back in time and you can give yourself some advice. Go back to little you. What advice would you give yourself?
Trust in yourself. And don't be ashamed of being you.
I love that.
Yeah. It's okay to be different.
I like that. I like that a lot. When I was in that room for my casting with all of the guys who looked just like me, I was the only one who wasn't looking at my lines. I was the only one that was just looking around and smiling and having fun. Because for me, it was fun. If I got it, great. If I didn't get it, my life goes on. And I think in that moment, I chose to be different. I chose to be me. And I didn't get that role. But I think my life has turned out pretty good.
Yeah, they remembered you because you came in with this energy and said he was much better.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And I was like, I told them that, and they were like, that's funny. And then they realized I wasn't lying. He was better than me. But this is the thing. Like, I think we have to be authentic to ourselves. I had someone offer me a job after watching my podcast. So, like, we want you to come on our TV show and be a news reporter for financial news in Vietnam. And I was like, have you seen my show? Like, that's not who I am, man. I mean, I don't mind talking about money. I would love to talk about money. That would be fun. But I'm not like a be on the TV show type of guy. Like, any news today? The stock market took a 25-point dip. Like, that's not me. That's not me. And I know it's not me. And that's important to know that that's not me. And I think that, like, not to say I can't try stuff. Sure, if someone wants to pay me a ton of money, I will be your news broadcaster. I will do it very well. Hello, welcome to but I'm going to have a hard time not laughing because I use comedy. That's part of my thing. I like to make people laugh. Yeah. So I think that once I realized that, I could be a better version of myself. But I had to learn that. And I think so many times people have a hard time learning who they are.
Yeah, I still have some struggles with self-confidence. I get better, but yeah.
Well, and I think that you don't have to be perfect. But if you can, what your weaknesses are. Do you know something I realized when I started doing this show? I stutter. I if you hear me, I have a little bit of a speech thing. And when I started editing my own videos, I caught myself. I remember when I was a little kid, the teachers told me that I did that. And I was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. And, you know, sometimes my friend would, what is that, Sean? And I was like, what do you mean? And I watched it. And, you know, if I wanted to, I could work at speaking perfectly like this. You know, who cares, man? But when I watched that, I found out that there was something I was doing that was me. It was just me. And at first I was watching that. I was like, well, should I try to change that? Or should I just let it go?
Yeah.
And I let it go. Why? Because who cares?
Yeah.
As long as I'm having fun and people are enjoying the conversation, who cares? You know? And I think the same goes for actors. You know, if you take a risk, take a bold risk, like what we were talking about with the auditions, and it's something that's fun for you and is interesting for you, go for it.
Yeah.
Why not? Because there was a Maggie Gyllenhaal. You know Jake Gyllenhaal's sister,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
She had this great quote. I can't remember it exactly. But she said this. When she made choices as an actor, she trusts the choice. She trusts it. And when people try to get her to change the choice, she'll tell them no. She's like, this is my choice. And we're like, well, why is it so important? Because this is her intuitive feeling, and this is how she can make that character real. And she said when she doesn't trust that, it doesn't turn out. She has to trust her choices, and they're almost always right. And that to me is really beautiful. Now, what other advice would you give yourself?
I think when I was a little kid, I was not shy. I just speak my mind, and I had temper. And when I got in my teenage years, I got really quiet and get low self-confidence. So I think I would tell myself to be true to my inner child.
I love that.
Because I have easy, I work often with a lot of kids on after school cares. And I that kind of person that don't need to do anything. Kids just like me. And I feel so confident about them, around them. And I'm this cool pedagogue who play soccer and don't care if they are kids. I want to win. And the kids think
I love that. It's a good life lesson. Take that, Tommy. 3-0. I win.
And the funny thing, they just think it's really cool. Yeah, she's a cool teacher. Cool.
That's awesome. I love that.
Then it's like 7 kids against me, but it's still, I want to win.
But you still win.
Yeah.
I did that to my daughter the other day. We were playing like a video game, and my daughter was playing, and she was like, oh, and she got a little bit like she would beat her cousin, and she's like, ha ha ha, I just beat you. And I was like,
be nice.
You shouldn't be too cocky. You should be nice. And she's like, I will beat everyone, Daddy. And I was just like, so I played her on the video game, bum, 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 bum. And she's like, you beat me. I was like, life's tough.
Yeah, karma.
That's how it is, kid. Learn to deal with it. Get better. And she's like, I will beat you, Daddy. I was like, that's what I want to hear. I love that attitude. Now, imagine that I have Aladdin's lamp. The genie pops out, and you could wish for anything. But let's say related to your career. What would you wish for?
That one big part that opened the doors for all the other parts.
I love that. I'm going to ask, what would you like that to be? What do you want that part to be? Let's imagine it's your dream role that opens up a world. But let's be real. Like that first part can open so many different doors depending on the part. What would you love for that to be?
I would love to be the bad guy. Yeah.
What type of bad guy though? I mean, let's do you want to be the bad guy, the first like major female Bond villain that's a woman? I mean, what do you want it? What do you want it to be? Or do you want to be like an evil bad guy, like true evil, or are you a little bit evil? Tell me about the perfect bad character.
I like true crime series, and I love Monster. She's just brilliant. Portrait a real person and do it like to perfection. That would be
awesome.
Awesome.
And that's one of the things that like real monsters, real villains are often concealed behind masks of normalcy, of like being like a normal person. I always remember reading this one story about, like, since you mentioned a true crime thing, one of the most, like, this kid, it was a young guy, he was a serial killer in Japan, right? And his neighbors were like, he looked normal.
Yeah.
He looked so normal. But like, then they went into his house and he had like dead bodies everywhere. It's like, that's crazy. But like that type of villain as an actor, that is a huge challenge to rise to, to like, because I'm not going to lie, I'm not a serial killer. For everyone watching, please know that that's neither something but like as an actor, maybe you are tasked with telling a story, and you have to do it in a responsible, honorable way, because you're doing it because the importance is of playing that character well to honor the victims, to tell the stories, Yeah. And so how do you approach that? It's a mountain. It's a mountain of a challenge.
I like the way Joaquin Phoenix do the Joker, because you feel with him, the Joker.
Yep.
Yeah. You understand why he killed all those people, because he's just a hurt child.
And that's the important thing, is like, in the Authentically technique, like even a villain, even a bad guy, you want to win. You want that character in ways to win, because they are doing whatever they're doing because they have this unmet need. They have this unmet, thing in their life that needs to be fulfilled, whether it be to be loved or to be validated, There's always something there. And well, what do you think? What do you think that Joaquin Phoenix's overall objective was? I've worked on that one. I still don't necessarily know. I think to be loved, but I don't think that's fully it, because he wouldn't have killed all the people.
Often you say it's power back when it's a killer, but I think also it had to do something with love, because he didn't.
They
get
had that full
from
story.
The father, that he found out is Batman's father. Spoiler.
It could have been. I don't know. I never heard this one said, but it almost was like to be loved. But what is love too? Love is also to be important, to be a priority to someone, to be important to someone. And I feel like that was because he was he was the person everyone could forget. No one would remember him. But then he became an icon. Which, again, maybe it's to be worshipped. I don't know. That movie has always baffled me about what he was trying to get.
Yeah.
But he did it so well.
Really? Yeah.
What are some of the next steps that you would like to have in your career? What are you looking to do? You're doing the creator line right now for Panorama, and you're going to make some movies this year, which that sounds exciting.
Yeah, we're gonna make a TV series. I think it's a mini, small series.
But you never know. With all the streaming now, with all of the streaming networks now, you start a concept, you have a good concept, it's something that could turn into something. So that's the cool thing. What else would you like to do? What are some of your visions? Like the next 5 years, what are some of your goals for the next 5 years?
I want to be nominated for something, for a job I did. Like,
I love that.
Just, yeah, you know, all these dreams people have. Like, I want to win an Oscar. I also want to win an Oscar. Yeah.
Right. Well, I believe in you. I think it takes power to say that. I think there's a magic in saying things. I think even saying something that you want it is... I used to just want to win an Oscar, but not lying now. I want to win an Oscar and a Grammy because I'm doing more music lately. I want to win both. And maybe an Emmy for it, right? And an Emmy because I want to be doing TV. I want to be doing my show. I want it all. I want it all. And I think that there's power in saying that because a lot of people are scared to want what they want.
Yeah. And a lot of actors or some of my colleagues say that they have been shy about saying I'm an actor.
Yeah.
But I have always known I wanted to be an actress. And I wasn't shy saying it. I just knew that was what I would do. But you always get this response when people ask you, what have you been in? And I haven't been really in anything yet.
Right. You know what? I don't think that should define you. Because I think as an actor, all you have to know is to have that passion. Like, if you like to sing, you're a singer. You know what I mean? You don't have to say, well, I sang in this show and that show. But for actors, they go, oh, what were you in? You know what? I'm an actor. And that's it. Because I love to act. And that's enough. The other part will come. Those roles will come if you have the passion and if you're putting yourself out there. I believe that.